Good morning and welcome to our Sycamore Township workshop meeting for Tuesday, September the 29th, 2020. The time is 9:02. This morning, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are following House Bill 197 that allows local government the opportunity to conduct meetings remotely, and we are following our governor's guidelines. Let the record show that all three trustees are here. Mr. Weedman, Vice Chairman Tom James, and me, Jim LaBarbera, the Chairman. I'm making a motion to approve the September 15th, 2020 trustee workshop minutes. Do we have a second? Discussion, vote. Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera? Aye. First up was the Sheriff Patrol items. Lieutenant Tar is not here today. We'll go to the EMS and fire items, and with that report, Chief Penny, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
A couple things to go over. I wanted to give you an update on some COVID things that was kind of interesting, and also discuss spending some of our CARES Act funds to upgrade the township and the employees here to better serve for getting ready to prepare for the winter time. So the COVID is still out there. It hasn't been talked about as much, even though it doesn't sound like it's as much of a crisis, but I'm here to tell you it's still here, and there's still a lot of concerns from the health officials about an outbreak in the wintertime. Between that and the mixture of the flu, we could have some problems. Since our September 3rd meeting, we've had 54 people in the township become quarantined to their home for the COVID. That's a lot in less than a month. They have 54 additional. We were going with anywhere from 2 to 3 every couple days. Now we're into 8 and 9s every couple days. So I know the news and everything is putting out there about the low attendance in the hospitals. Yes, the hospitals aren't seeing as many, but the testing is coming out positive, and the doctors are seeing it, and they are exposed to it and happen to be quarantined at the home, whether they went to the hospital or didn't go to the hospital or have to be treated in a hospital. So saying that, it would be very wise for us to prepare ourselves for the fall and the winter. Saying that, working from home computers, the phone system, video conference equipment, we have an opportunity here with the CARES Act funds to get the township, all the buildings, the parks, and the employees set up for for working at home, computers, and going back to Zoom meetings if we have to. Any type of meeting. I know Tracy, Skylar, myself, Jerry, we all have to go through web hosting of different meetings. None of our fire chiefs meetings, nothing like that is in person. Like here, everything is all Zoom and video conferencing, that sort of thing. All the classes that the firemen are taking are all video conferencing. So we're exposed to a lot of that, and I think we're going to be exposed to that for a long time to go. So Skylar and I got together, and Skylar put together a list of things that we can do to better the township, to purchasing state workstation computers that the employees can use here, and they can take them home. And it's basically like taking your computer from your office and putting it at your house. It'd be flawless. It's totally transitional to have whatever you're working on at your office be at your house. And the computers are good enough that when we do teleconferencing and Zoom and things like that, we can minimize the buffering, and you get a better quality of a video conference. We have the we have the opportunity to, with the COVID money, to install Wi-Fi in the parks that we can offer to the public, that the public can use that area to do work rather than going to an office. I know a lot of municipalities and townships are using COVID money to create hotspots within their township that people can collect to, that they can work in an open area and work in an area of social distancing, that where they feel safe to do work, that for people that don't have Wi-Fi at home and things like that. So that's totally acceptable under the CARES Act funds to be able to buy things like that and offer that to the public. So we want to look at that. We want to upgrade our phone system. The phone system here has some issues with hardware. It's going to be an investment for us if we want to do this, but if we go with a type of phone system that Skylar's looked into, it's the type that every bit of your office phone transactions can be forwarded and transitioned to your home or to your smartphone or to your home phone. So this way, we would be set up to where everything we do in our office could be at our house, basically, with no problems. And I think we should take the opportunity to use this money to put our township up to top notch. This equipment that we're looking at is not cheap equipment, but we don't want cheap equipment because we want it to last. It's money we can use that we did not budget for, that we did not account on doing something like this. So we want to buy equipment that's gonna last for a while, and that's what we're looking at. If you buy good stuff, you get good quality out of it, you get good workmanship out of it, and it'll hold up for us, rather than buying the bottom line stuff.
Chief,
Yeah.
what's the deadline on when we can spend that money? When do we have to have it appropriated, or we have to have
We have to have it
actually
appropriated
spent?
by the 15th of October.
Okay,
We don't have to spend it till the December 30th.
December 30th?
Yeah. Now, we've gotten 2 rounds of the CARES Act funds, totaling right now of about 400,000, is 399 some change. So it's about 400,000. We haven't used a whole lot out of it. The House bill went through. The state's going to receive the funds here very soon. That's going to get transmitted to us for an additional 733,000 that we're going to have. So we got plenty of CARES Act money to work with. We can, if we spend about $197,000 out of that money right now to update our phone system, put our Wi-Fi in our parks for our residents, and do get our employees set up for working from home, we can do all that with basically no cost to the township.
How much money did you say, Chief?
About $197,000, and that's combining the computers, video equipment, the software that we use every day, like Adobe and things like that, and the phone system. And the phone system's a necessity in order for people to be able to, if they leave here, they can hit a button on the phone and it'll transfer everything to their home office or their home phone, or their smartphone or whatever. So we all know, we've had it with Tracy's crew, our guys. Somebody walks in and says, "I've been exposed," boom, they're out of here. Now, if that happens to one of our essential people, there's no reason when they go home, they can't take a couple days to recover and then get back on the computer at home at their how they feel and their leisure, and start doing things. So we want to set that up so they're capable of doing that.
Chief, even a lot of times, if you test positive for COVID, you have no symptoms.
Right.
So you're
Just
just
stuck at home, but
you're sitting at home in quarantine. You could be staying up on your work.
Yeah, Skylar went through that. You went through half a month of sitting at home.
It was not COVID.
Then you owe us time back.
Yeah. Chief, I trust you're also, you're looking at what we might be able to use those CARES Act funds for in the department itself.
Oh, yeah.
Besides.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a couple other things that we're looking into, and as soon as I get the pricing on it and everything, I'll be bringing it to you.
So we really have until the next workshop, really. because October 15th, you're saying October 15th we have to appropriate by?
So, and with the CARES Act laws, the trustees have to deem the expense something that would benefit the township and be a necessity under the COVID thing in order to, so I can put it in for the auditor.
Gotcha.
So that needs to be a specific decision by the trustees, not a blanket PO, in other words?
Well, the PO's there, that's not the problem, it's just that you guys need to basically say that we feel that this is an expense that will help us with the COVID and benefit the township and the residents, which it does.
I think what we're looking for today is more policy approval to spend these funds instead of line item authorization.
Yeah.
That you already approved the PO, so you don't have to approve the PO, you just have to say that we think that this is a good expense, that it's something necessary.
I think it's a great expense. I thank both of you guys, Skylar and Chief, and Coop. You probably were involved in that as well. So thank you for your leadership on this. I think it's a great idea, and I think we should move forward on it.
Question also, and Ray and I were talking about some other things that we're looking to use CARES Act money for. Digitizing our records is something too. Is that included in the computer expense you just gave, or is that a separate item?
I don't know, it's not in there because we don't have, but it can be.
Okay, but it would be in addition.
We can do that, yeah,
Okay.
we can do that. Let me work on that, but I talked to Ray yesterday about it, and we really didn't have a cost factor to it,
Right.
or a direction, we just
Okay.
know that we have to do it.
Right, I just wondered if this
But
was
that,
numbers.
we've been talking, and if there's a way that I can relate it to, or connect it to the CARES Act funds, I will.
Another question too, weird question to ask, but we're all feeding from the federal trough here, I guess, essentially, because the feds are pushing this money out saying use it or lose it.
Right.
So, of course, we have an incentive to use it. Are we going to use all of it? Because if we're not, I understand we have the opportunity
We
to
have to take it-
sub-grant it.
We have to send it back. We
Well-
can't sub-grant it, yes.
We could send it to Deer Park Schools, for example, if they
Yes,
needed it, or
we
some
can.
other
And
organization.
that's something that we'll look at when we get closer to December.
Well, would we have to make that appropriation in advance of then, so they could, though?
Yes.
So we'd really
Yes.
have to act by October 15th, wouldn't we?
No,
Oh.
not with this next round that's coming in.
Okay.
Right now, what we're working off of, you guys already have, the trustees have already approved the PO for the first relief fund and the second one, and the third one that's coming in anytime, which is the bigger one, we'll have to go through the same process.
Okay.
But we're working now, right now, what we're spending right now is based off of the first two appropriations, and that you've already done the blanket PO on that.
Okay.
Chief, what about the quality of the buildings that do you have, the farmhouses? I know that the air is not the best in one.
There is gonna be some things that we can use CARES Act funds for, but not everything. Not everything. It has to be.
Can you check into that?
Oh, yeah. If it's tieable, I'll tie it.
And I'd really like to
Because
see.
I've watched I've sat through all the video conferencing with the government and the state on it. I talked to a lot of people, and we got a pretty good handle on what you can spend it on, what you can't, how to word it so it does justify it. And I beat Skylar up on his prerogative. I thought, look, no, this you can't do this, you know. So and he's adjusted. So we've made it to where everything that we're proposing here is 100% CARES Act fund, because it benefits an employee working from home or residents that need to work outside their home and utilize our facilities.
Well, I'll mention again, just to keep this in the loop somewhere if possible, I'd like to see us upgrade our bathroom facilities in the parks too, to make them more sanitary for this. I think we can use the funding for that. And if we're going to be encouraging people to use Wi-Fi in the parks and come and gather there in that sense, they're going to need those so they're open all the time, not locked away from them. So please keep that priority too.
The CARES Act funds will provide with touchless items, touchless automatic doors, touchless locks, touchless faucets. That's his bailiwick, because I know he had trouble with those in the past. But if there's a better one out there, we can look at it. But it can be covered, if that's something that Tracy thinks that, it would work out for us.
Tracy, do we have Wi-Fi in all the parks?
Not yet, we're going to be working on that. We have
So we
fiber
can-
to them, but we do not have Wi-Fi yet.
Okay, so we can use this money for that?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Great, great.
We can use
As
it
far
for-
as the locks, we're already working on the locks, so that's something that we probably wouldn't be able to do with this, but as far as the touchless things, we could, touchless dryers, touchless faucets, that sort of thing.
The locks or the remote,
Yeah,
did you already budget for it?
yeah.
Okay, so
So it
anyway,
works.
the Wi-Fi in the parks, yes, they will definitely cover it, because we are gonna do that to benefit, put it out to the public to benefit them for being able to go, if it's nice out, they can either sit in their car, or they can sit at a picnic table, whatever, and use their laptop and go to town, and have the Wi-Fi on us.
Well, that's another point, tables. Do we need more tables because of this? If we're encouraging people to do it, we have to consider it's going to be winter soon too, though, so it's going to be cold.
Yeah, I guess we could keep an eye on it, see how busy it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think a lot of people, especially going into the winter, would probably be sitting in their car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, doing that, but if it gets to that, I guess it's up to him. What table put on.
Signage also, is this just going to be open Wi-Fi? I mean, we're going to need to put some signs up even then, I would think, to let people know. So I
Exactly.
assume you've got that.
Yeah, we could put something up for Wi-Fi available. Yeah. So, we're definitely gonna upgrade the monitors in the buildings to a better system for video conferencing, for if we do have to video conference here, that we have something decent to use. So that it's the whole package. So if the trustees feel that this is something that would be a benefit to the township and to the residents, then just tell me that, and we can proceed on with,
I think
like
we
I
should
said, the
move
money's
forward,
already been
Chief. I think
appropriated.
it's a great idea, providing it falls within the guidelines of the CARES Act funds. I think we should take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Is this something we need to actually put to a motion and vote, Mr. Desai?
Well, that's sort of what I was debating over here. So, if I'm understanding, Chief, you were sort of looking for general direction from the trustees today. You're not actually proposing, specific, we're going to buy this for X amount. That's what we're going to look at the next meeting, right?
No, the PO has already been, they already approved the PO, so we can just spend the money, but in the CARES Act world, they say that if your trustees deem that to be a necessary or a satisfactory expense to benefit the township, the employees, and the residents of a COVID-related thing, then they just need to exercise that.
So I would think
Just
we
say
would
that.
need some kind of resolution that just
Yeah.
specifically spells out.
I guess we're looking for some kind of broad and flexible authority on these purchases.
Well, you really have it, but Chief,
Yeah.
we have a secondary PO we're going to ask for approval today. Do you know what's left on the original one? That would be purchase order 8666. Do you know what's left on that one? Because this one we're only asking for 133,000 today.
It's like 230.
That's left on it?
I think so. 'Cause I just
Okay.
did it yesterday. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I think Debbie combined that 866 and 866A. So when you do 866, nothing comes up. When you do A, it comes up.
Okay, well, we just have to make sure, because we're going to ask for another 133, and I suspect that the 133 and the balance that's left on the two prior will take care of the what'd you say, 196?
Yeah, because we got total about 390, almost 400,000.
But for paper keeping under this, since this is a whole new thing, it may be prudent to have a resolution that has the CARES Act language in it.
Right, I guess what I'm thinking is that we would have a resolution that would say that it'd have the language you were talking about, where the trustees deemed that would be in the best interest of the township to make these expenditures for COVID-related purposes, these items have not previously been budgeted. But then the piece about appropriating, so you've got, let's call it $400,000 in your fund, your COVID relief fund from the first two distributions. From what I'm hearing, part of that has been, you've got POs for it, but we've never actually had legislation saying we're
Yeah,
appropriating that.
we've appropriated, what's left in the appropriations for these is $247,272.
So we would need to address that, I think, in the
Yes.
resolution.
Yeah, we would reference the appropriation amount and the PO that we're using to execute.
Yeah, okay.
And something of this expense, coming from the trustees is saying that us as a body, them as a body is approving this, and rather than me just going out and buying it.
Okay, let's move this along this way, first of all. I move that we, as the Board of Trustees, voice our approval of the general concept plan that Chief Penny has presented and direct him to fill in the details and have a resolution prepared for our consideration at our next meeting.
Second.
Vote,
Aye.
Mr. James,
Aye.
discussion? No? Okay, Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
And Mr. LaBarbera, aye. So the ayes have it.
Good, thank you. That's all I have.
Chief, I'll get with you maybe towards the end of the week and like to maybe put a draft together so we can circulate it.
Can we have it for Thursday?
I'm sorry?
Can we have it for Thursday?
No.
No.
All right.
But we'll beat the October 15th deadline.
That leaves no margin for error, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't anybody get sick.
Is there some way we can get advanced authorization for the phone system piece? To move forward with that piece of it.
Yeah, because these phones could go out.
Just as an example, or a couple of examples, our voicemail system went down. That piece of it went down for a good portion of August and September. That's just now back up and running in the last couple of weeks. But it really is a ticking time bomb in the sense that it could just go out again. We had a situation yesterday where some of the phones stopped working and we're getting busy signals. It comes down to older components downstairs, on the network that are, it's the phone server. It's 10 to 15 years old. We had a technician here yesterday that basically told me, well, if it goes down, here's what you can try to reset it, and I'd have to unplug in a certain order and plug it back in. He says, my only fear is that this piece might not come back up. So if I have to try this reset because some of the phones aren't working, and I try this reset, we may just lose everything. The system is literally hanging on by a thread right now.
So you're asking for something to move forward immediately on the phone system?
At least for the phone piece, I'd like to call the company today and say let's get a move on this.
And the phone piece is what, 73?
Roughly 73,000. That does include a 5-year maintenance package. So there's certain things that we won't have to pay for 5 years because it'll be under warranty. And this new phone system actually reduces our monthly fees by several $100s.
Well,
moving forward.
Well, let's walk through this real quick, and Rob, help us out here a little bit, okay? We recently established the Coronavirus Relief Fund, right? We established that special revenue fund.
We did, yes.
And we took the monies that we've received through the first two distributions, which is approximately $400,000.
Yeah, I just got an update from Debbie. We got 242,182 from the first, and then I think, Ray, you have the second one, 133.
All right, let's call it 375. So we took the 375 and we put that money into that fund, so to speak. Have we ever done a resolution to say, from that fund, we are appropriating this amount of money for expenditures?
I think we did.
Yes, but we haven't done enough.
Okay, so how much did we appropriate?
He's got the
Right,
second.
right now, our appropriation balance is 247, 272.
Okay.
So, we needed to appropriate up to that 400,000.
Okay,
So what happened here was, we appropriated the first set that came in, and then, of course, we've spent some against it.
well, do we have in that first appropriation enough money to cover the phone piece?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't need to worry about the appropriation at that point. All
We got
we're
enough in
talking
there to
about
cover
now
everything.
then is a motion. Do you have a PO on the phone here today?
I do have a quote I can pull up.
866A,
Okay,
That's an existing PO.
that's existing.
Yeah, that's already been passed.
Let me throw out a question in the middle of this, though, not to jeopardize this, I hope, but my understanding is the CARES money can be spent on things related to combating coronavirus, providing benefits and so forth. If our phone system is already dying, is that a legitimate CARES Act expense?
Where the CARES Act could be utilized is because we're updating the phone system to be able to work remotely from home.
Okay,
The,
Because
the,
So it's an upgrade, not a repair.
we're being capable of transferring our office phone to the house.
okay, we just want to be careful in how we state
Right,
this in any
exactly.
resolution or anything we pass. That we make that clear then, because these things are subject to audit later and we want to do it right,
right.
so we don't have to pay it back.
So we have enough money to cover from the previous appropriation, we have enough money to cover the quote for the phone system. But we don't have a PO yet for the trustees to approve.
No, we have a PO also.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 POs that exist, and I'm gonna ask for a third.
Okay. So,
We have everything, we have the money appropriated, the trustees already approved the expenditure of that 242,000. I just have to bring it to the trustees for them to say, yes, this is a justifiable expense, because the government says that the trustees as a body are responsible to approve that they agree with that expense, that it's something that could be used for COVID.
okay.
So it's not tying it into the legality of a resolution or appropriation of it. That's all been done. This is just so we can go into the audit.
Okay. So we could do a motion today, given that we've got the money appropriated and that the phone quote is going to be within that amount that was previously appropriated. We could do a motion where the trustees say, we deem this to be a public necessity for purposes of combating COVID-19. It's essential that our phone system be active so that we can handle emergency services, that we can handle essential governmental functions, etc. We can do that all by motion today,
Yeah.
if that's what you're looking for. I would prefer to put that into a resolution and bring that back to the board, but if it's got to be done today, I would take the approach of let's make sure we have the right language in our oral motion, and then move forward, and if the auditor questions it, we'll deal with it at that time. But obviously, the better approach would be to put this into a resolution with all this language in there.
I can send you some verbiage for the resolution.
Skylar, if you call the phone company and say, hey, I think we're ready to move forward with this, is there some reason that we can't come back at a later meeting then and do all this by resolution?
He can place the order, he's got a PO number.
Yeah, we were not gonna get the invoice for,
as long as somebody can sign for it, because, they're gonna order this equipment, so, they're gonna want some kind of assurance that we're
And this
gonna
is a
follow
PO
through.
that's not been approved yet.
No, we,
So,
Both of them
I gotta put my name on a piece of
2 have been
paper.
approved, and we're asking for more today.
Right.
So he's got plenty of money to issue a PO number to them, and so that's not a hang-up.
When you say you're asking for more today, you're asking for more today for a PO for a phone?
Yeah, no, I don't think this was related to the phone, I don't know why.
no, that is the second CARES Act.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we're wanting to encumber that or
Right.
appropriate
Well-
it so we can spend it. What we're dealing with off of the first one we did was this 240-something thousand that it's
Yeah.
already been done. We just need to
But
get.
we're confusing what's been legally appropriated and what is now been approved in a PO. They're two different things. The appropriation has to come first. And in this case, we've got enough appropriated at this moment, it appears. And we'll have to appropriate some more to get up to the number that we have. But as it stands right now, there's ample that has been legally appropriated, and there are POs that would cover the expense to buy the phones.
So he can execute that today.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We
And
got,
those- and those
you
POs
approved the
are approved.
Oh, yeah.
$197,000.
Yeah.
So,
You approved the $197,000 to the phone system and update the computer system, the Wi-Fi in the parks. That all makes it justifiable for the COVID money, and the PO's already in the system.
so we can move on now.
Yes.
Okay. You all done, chief? Any questions for the chief?
Do we need to move as to that, though, to provide preliminary approval so that Mr. Miller can sign off on an order?
Well, if I'm understanding correctly, you've already approved the PO for the
Yeah.
phones.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So we're good.
There's no need to go any further. You can just.
No.
Okay.
No, as long as you three say yes, you agree, you approve
Yes.
it, that's good enough.
Yeah, we already-
That's all we need.
Thanks, chief.
Chief, they already approved it before. What else are you looking for from them
I
today?
just
Meets the
need
CARES Act
their
requirements.
blessing that they agree to this expense for the COVID.
And he
Because
does,
it meets
and
the
he,
CARES Act requirement.
technically, he doesn't even have to do this.
No.
Because they've already appropriated for him. They've already approved
But
enough
we have,
PO.
but we have it on video and we have it on record.
Yeah.
In the minutes that, for the auditor, that the trustees did say that this is a good expense for COVID money.
Right.
That's all the auditor.
I'll just make a motion that we approve the expenditure for the phone. Because we believe it is an expense that's acceptable to use COVID funds for.
Second.
And I'll move to amend that motion simply to incorporate by reference the fuller explanation of that Mr. Desai provided as to why it would be allowable under the CARES Act.
Okay, vote, Mr. James.
Well, someone needs to second the
I'll second
amendment.
it. I'll second that. Vote, Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
That's all I have.
Road Superintendent is Tracy Kellums. You're up. Roads, maintenance, recreation items.
Yeah, first thing is just a fast update on our projects. As you can tell, when you were coming in today trying to find a place to park, they've got our driveway torn up finally. That was the one that was supposed to be done in August. That is to run fire service back to the building, domestic water service back to the building, and a gas line. So they tell me that they're still on schedule. That schedule says the project's supposed to be done October 31st. There's still a lot of work to be done, so we'll see if that comes in on schedule. That's a lot of work to do in 2 months, so, or 1 month now, since September's over. Other than that, Sycamore Road's moving along fine. They're setting grade for curb today. They should be pouring curb on the last section tomorrow, and hopefully getting base course of pavement down as early as later this week. So that road's moving along fine. Those are our two major projects that are still going on. After that, I would like to ask for a motion to advertise for our Kuba Mill reconstruction. We've been talking about this project. Actually, I looked back, and the first time that we talked to the engineer about this was 2015. So this has been long going, and we're finally ready to advertise for this and get going on this. So I can get a motion to advertise.
I'll make a motion, do we advertise for the Cougar Mill project?
And I will second and note that this project has always been next year, quote unquote, and now it finally is, it sounds like, so that's
Finally
good.
here.
Vote, Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
So I just got a call from a resident from your neighborhood, Mr. LaBarba, who is talking about stop signs needed at Weatherfield and Branford Court. I know that is a Weatherfield dead ends into Branford. There's no stop signs on any of those corners. I don't have a resolution for this yet. I also wanted to talk to Chief and see what he thought. We have not had any accidents there, but it is an uncontrolled intersection that they're looking for a stop sign to go on Weatherfield. But I believe if we do that, we actually need to make it a three-way stop because the terminated streets need to stop as well as the main street that comes into it. So just want to get your take on that before I bring forward a resolution.
To do that, is that something simply within our control to do, or do we have to do any sort of studies or anything such as that?
We do not have to do any studies. No.
I'm very familiar with that
If it's deemed
intersection.
necessary, usually the way we do it, I talk to Chief, I would talk to Lieutenant Tar, we would bring it to you. It is an uncontrolled intersection, one of the very few, if not the only one that we have that has no kind of control device on it.
But there's no yield sign or anything
There's
there.
nothing there.
And there are young kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think from what the neighbors are saying, there's more and more young kids on that.
Well, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them, yes,
I
yes.
think it's a good idea. So I'll try to get a resolution together for Thursday night for that.
Very good.
And in the same system, I got a call late yesterday afternoon. I haven't had a chance to talk to Chief about this either, but I had a request for no parking on Woodlawn, on one side of Woodlawn from Beach East. You know, Woodlawn's a narrow road. There's ditches on both sides. Now people are parking with one tire off the road, one on, and across the street from each other. So
They're
there's
on both
no
sides of
way,
the road?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
no
weird.
way you'd be able to get safety vehicles down that
They're not supposed to
street.
be on the side of the hydrants.
So I'll be looking to bring a resolution for that also Thursday night, to put no parking fire lane on the side of the hydrants.
Have you had any conversation with any of the residents on that?
I have not,
Okay.
only the gentleman that called.
Okay, yeah, that's a bad area. It's very bad.
The streets are very narrow.
Yep.
Without anybody parked on both sides of it.
And anytime the parking situation is causing people to left the center, it could be a safety issue for us.
So in your packets, you received some documents about Reading Road property. Some of you may remember, this has been several years, we had a resident who was bound in a wheelchair that could not get up and down Reading Road there from Chaucer. They approached us, I talked to them, then I talked to the state. The resident also talked to the state, and this project has finally come to pass. They're looking to put sidewalks in from, I believe it was Sunnybrook, if I'm not mistaken, all the way to 126. So we have property there. All they need from us is a temporary easement. It's just like when we're doing an LPA project with ODOT, we have to go out and get easements. There's a minimum amount, they have to offer you fair market value for your easement. I believe you received all that paperwork that showed you what the fair market value is. The minimum that they can offer is $300. I would say that we would donate this. It's basically one of our residents. We're the ones that tried to start this project. So really all we need is, we've got the paperwork that's made out with Ray's signature on it to sign. And just want to make sure that you're good with a donation. We have a donation letter that I believe you saw in the packet that was included there. I think this is a great project that really needs to be done.
I agree with you on that, Tracy. I would make a motion that we grant a temporary easement for the Reading Road sidewalk project and that we donate the easement.
I'll second that.
Yeah, discussion?
Well, and just to note, to be clear as to what Mr. Kellum said, the minimum they have to offer is 300, and in fact, that is what they offered, was 300 as the fair market value. So that's the value we're looking at here,
Correct.
based on that.
But I believe if you look, I believe the actual analysis was I mean, it's $50-something, I think, so they offer you 300, because that's the minimum that they offer.
Let's make this happen.
Okay, vote, Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
Okay, the only other thing that I have, unless you have any other questions, is,
I have a question. I mentioned last meeting about the house we own on Orchard, and we're renting it for $700, and there's another house for rent there. I don't know if she's rented it yet or not, for $1,900 and another $2,300 a month. And I was just saying that we should probably get fair market value if we're going to rent the property, and you were going to look into that or make some inquiry.
yes. I did not look into the actual lease yet. I'm sorry, I didn't get around to that. We are renting it for $750.
$750.
I will tell you that we would have to do a lot of work on these houses to get fair market value. If you're talking about 15 or to 16, 1,700 for fair market value. These houses are old, they're original condition, you know, kitchens, bathrooms have not been replaced, nothing has been done, they're very basic. But I will check those leases, I apologize for not doing that.
No, that's fine. Maybe we can boost them up a little bit to 1,000 or something. It would be,
We can look into that.
The next go round.
See what the leases
yeah,
say.
the next go-round.
I would say.
Because I'm sure some of them will go month to month, but at the same time, you know, these aren't something that we have a long-range forecast for. I would not want to really put a ton of money into these houses.
Okay.
But we have put thousands of dollars into repairing the furnace in one of them, didn't we, a few years ago?
Yes.
And we are effectively, by being a landlord at below market rents, driving down home values for everyone else on that street and doing it. So if we can do something to remedy that, it would be good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think we're affecting the values of the houses over there, but
I'm not sure either
I will
about
look
that, but
into
I will
that.
say this, the ones that are renting for a higher, I think maybe the ninth house from the restaurant, I believe is, they had everything done in that house, new windows, new kitchen, new roof, new everything. And, so I would expect they'd get considerably more for that than for the house we own there, which is number 6 and 7, I think, 2, 6 and 7.
Well, 2,300 is a considerable difference from 700. Okay.
2,300.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
That's a lot of money.
I know.
People want to live in the township, hey?
Yeah, Indian Hill School District. So the other thing I have, I sent you gentlemen an email last night. I just wanted to put it on the record. As you know, my contract ends at the end of this year, December 31st. And as stated in my contract, I have to notify the board if I desire to extend my employment with the township, so we can discuss it within the last 90-day period of the year. I do desire to extend my employment, as I told you in the email, and I hope you desire for me to stay. So it's basically just a notification required that I would like to stay longer. 38 years isn't enough.
And you got,
Button for punishment.
and you received my email that I
Yes, sir.
support you.
Thank you.
I support you.
Yep. I appreciate that. So that's all I have, unless you have any other questions.
Skylar Miller is our planning and zoning supervisor. What do you have, Skylar?
Sir, I'm actually happy to report the resolution that's on the agenda for today is no longer required. The property owner and tenant have resolved the matter, so we don't need a resolution declaring any property as a nuisance this time around. We do, of course, have our public hearing for our zoning case on Thursday night. So look for your emails later today for the updated staff report. The applicant has submitted an updated site plan that's actually taken into account the comments from the zoning commission. So I'll be forwarding that information to you later today.
Which project is that?
That's the Shell gas station. I don't have the address in front of me, but
On
it's
Fields Erdel.
It's on Fields Erdel Road. Yep. So, again, there's been some improvements to that proposal. Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, I've spent a lot of time this week and last putting those numbers together for Chief. So, like I said, we've got more things to talk about later this week, but I'm good for today.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
It's been relatively short since then, but the proposal for the townhomes on Montgomery Road where the open house occurred, have you heard anything else from the developer about that?
I believe there's still an intent to submit an application for zone change and PUD that has not come in yet. So, and until such time, I don't have any updated info.
And related question about that for Mr. Kellens. I don't remember if we talked about this in a meeting before. One of the concerns some of the residents had expressed in that area about that to me was the people who live off of Glenover behind All Saints have a bit of a bottleneck getting out of their neighborhood, and it's difficult to make turns there in the morning, they've said, what with the school and all the traffic on Montgomery Road. Some of them have suggested there should be a traffic light there. That's a state highway, though.
That is correct.
What is the process involved in even trying to make that happen if that were to start?
Yeah, that would be all up to the state. We would contact the state. They would do a traffic study, which would include amount, average daily traffic on Montgomery Road, including turn counts coming out and going into Glenover. I can tell you on a state highway with a light being just up the street at Finley, that's going to be very tough to get.
Not to mention, they're going to be doing this during COVID, and the intersection of Montgomery and Ronald Reagan is being totally torn up, so people are avoiding that area. So the warrants probably wouldn't even exist. They wouldn't meet warrant requirements for that.
Well, we can contact the state if you wish, but.
No, I just wanted to know the process right
Yeah.
now, and I think other people may not know and would want to hear, so we
Sure.
could direct them to your brilliant remarks in the meeting here, so they can just watch it for themselves. Thank you.
It would take a good while, wouldn't it, though, after they would come in and do a survey? It would take to go through all the paper process to get them to come out here in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's all going to change anyway when that whole roundabout
Yeah, when
gets.
that roundabout changes, it's going to change, because like Mr. Weedman said, traffic counts right now are down anyway.
Oh, it's incredible.
You go down, look at Kenwood Road every day, we used to backed up in front of here, every day at lunch and every night. There's not much traffic. You are not going to get favorable traffic counts anywhere right now.
Thank you. Any other? Mr. Deepak Desai is our lawyer.
Nothing to
Mr.
report
Desai.
today. Thank you.
I have a
Question?
question for you that someone asked me about, and I figured I'd pass it on to you, because this may be a concern. If a township such as us were to have reason to seek the removal of a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals or Zoning Commission, what is the process for doing that, and what does it entail?
Offhand, I don't know, but I would suspect it follows the normal procedure you see in all local governments, where the legislative authority has the power by a majority to appoint those members. I could take a look at that and report back to you on October 1st.
Yeah, if you would, I'd appreciate it. I know Revised Code 519.04 governs the zoning commission and BZA by reference from another statute, and says that members shall be removable for non-performance of duty, misconduct in office, or other cause by the board upon written charges being filed. I'd like to know more about that process, since someone has asked me about it. So if you could report to us, I'd appreciate that.
I'll get back to you on Thursday.
Thank you.
I think we had this situation before with one of our zoning board members, and I believe it required a public hearing, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I understand. I'd just like to know more about the process. I assume that then allows for people to be questioned under oath and so forth. So
Well,
I'd like to know the process. So thanks.
it wasn't that many years ago when another member was removed, and it was just a discussion among the trustees, and in fact, Dick Kent went and notified the man that he was no longer required to come to
I think
meetings.
if their term is up, then that's acceptable to do, but if their term is not up, then I believe it requires a public hearing by statute.
Right. Sort of a de facto impeachment, I think, is what it would be.
A removal for
Yeah,
cause.
so we can We can learn what you find, Mr. Desai. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the law director? Nothing? Our administrator, Mr. Ray Warwick. Ray's father passed away on Sunday, and I want to express my deepest sympathy. If there's anything we can do, I can do to help, please don't hesitate, and know that you and my family is in your prayers. You are in our prayers.
Thank you.
My deepest sympathy.
In your packet, you've got a few POs. I'm going to go over them one by one, if you don't mind. The first one is the 8666B, as in boy. This is the one we've been talking about. This is we're asking for an additional we're asking for $133,159.71 for this particular PO, which follows along with the COVID money. And there is sufficient legal appropriation available to execute this PO.
Motion to approve?
I'll second. I'm sorry, what was the number of this one again?
8666B,
The
as in
last one in the
boy.
packet. Okay.
Okay, any questions, any discussion, vote? Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera. Aye.
The next PO is 8676. This is payable to the Sycamore Board of Education. The total amount is $88,450.85. It's drawn from two different TIF areas, and unfortunately, the first one listed there, 29A01KA, we do not have enough appropriated to cover the 37,509.72. The second portion of it, out of 44A01KW, we do have sufficient appropriations to cover that amount. So I think this is an issue that we would ask to have approval and sign the certification, knowing that one of the areas doesn't have enough appropriated at this time.
So how do we remedy that? We can't spend money we have not appropriated. So
Yeah,
how do
we
we go
have to
about?
appropriate some more.
And does that require a motion or a resolution for appropriation?
Well, I think that this particular one is one of the line items in the overall TIF, and I'd have to look if there's enough in the overall TIF that we could move within it. Then we don't have to ask you for anything. However, if we just need to up the appropriation, we'd have to come back to you with a resolution.
So you're going to allocate the expenditure from one TIF, not from both, or you're going to?
Well, I think what we need to do is just increase the appropriation on that 29A01KA and then bring it back. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Go ahead. Did you have something else to add, Tom?
So, Ray, are you suggesting you're going to bring that back to us to do, or do you want action right now?
No, I'm going to bring it back to you.
Okay.
Unless you want to take action, you do.
Well, I think it'd be better if you can bring it back on Thursday, that'd be great.
Yeah, if we can appropriate the money properly legally, then we can approve this, but I'm not going to vote to approve it before then. But I'm confused because, Mr. Porter, you signed off on here that the money has been lawfully appropriated or authorized or directed for such purpose already. Is Mr. Warwick wrong, or?
Typically, what's done with these things, we have a year-end adjustment on these things. We have the money, there is money there to
Well, I know we
pay.
have money, but we have to appropriate it to spend it legally.
Okay, well, let's wait and do that then, whatever you want to do. I mean, you're just holding back the money from the schools is what you're doing. So,
Well, we'll be
on
spending
a
it Thursday.
technicality. We'll
Sounds
take
like-
care of it.
Sounds
Okay.
like we'll take care of it Thursday. But,
Okay.
You know, but
The next one is PO number 8677. This is for Deer Park Community City Schools. And the amount is $279,777.21. And it's drawn from four TIF funds, and they are all adequately appropriated.
So we need a motion to approve.
Second.
Vote, Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
The next one is PO 8678. This is for Princeton City Schools, and the total is $231,591.40. Unfortunately, on this one also, the first two TIF lines, 45A01KW and 33A01, those do not have enough funds appropriated.
So you'll bring that back on Thursday as well?
Sure.
Thank you.
Can we work on making sure that we don't have this problem in the future?
I think we could.
Thank you.
The next one is 8679 for Indian Hill Exempted Village School District, and this is the big one, $2,379,530.71. And this one also has two TIF areas where we just don't have enough appropriated. We don't have enough in 26A01KW, and we don't have enough in 43A01KW. The rest are okay. I can bring this back
Okay.
Thursday.
Right. let's make
Okay,
that
Mr. Coyle, let's correct these. Thank you.
We do, of course, just to be clear, have all the money we need to pay these amounts. It's a question of the appropriation.
Right.
There are no-
It's following the way we're supposed to be doing it,
Correct. Okay, thank you.
instead of cleaning it up at year end. The next is 8680. This is for Great Oaks Career Campuses, and the amount is $23,171.37, and we have sufficient appropriation in all four of the TIPs.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Vote, Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
The last one is PO 8681. This is for the Keller Road ESID, and the amount is $96,565.21, and we do have enough appropriated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Vote, Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera, aye.
And the only other thing I stuck in the packet is the State of Ohio guidelines for celebrating Halloween. I don't know what the board typically does about setting the hours for Sycamore Township, and I just wanted to bring your attention that the state has some suggestions about how to trick or treat.
We do normally set the day and the time. In this case, October 31st falls on Saturday from 6, and I think we normally do it from 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
I would, there are a little bit of conflicting differences between the state of Ohio and the CDC in looking through both of them. I would be of the opinion that we should yield to the better judgment of our citizens. I think they're smart enough to know whether they would like to participate or not participate. It may be good for us on our website to suggest that we put a note on there suggesting that if you want to participate, you keep your porch light on, and if you don't, you would keep your porch light off that evening so people would know the difference. And there's suggestions of things like not putting bowls of candy out for people to grab, rather taking it out. I mean, if you had a rubber glove, you could take it out of a bag and make everybody comfortable and happy with what's going on. I just think we need to yield to our better judgment on this situation. And for those that want to participate and feel comfortable sending their kids out, or for that matter, having kids come to their house, I think it's just fine. And for those who choose not to participate, that's fine as well.
I heard just the opposite, where they were recommending on the COVID call last Tuesday that we had with the county was to put you can put the bowl of candy out rather than touch it and you should sanitize even the candy wrappers. It really got detailed. So I like the idea of, like you said, leave it up to the residents, and hopefully that everybody has good sense, and maybe we'll get more information on this before October 31st.
Yeah, I mean, let me just address that. I think the bowl situation, as I referred to, may have come from the CDC, and their suggestion was, we don't want 52 hands in this bowl. because that spreads the disease. And so they prefer not to have a bowl. And it's no different than, I would say, if you go to any buffet restaurant, they don't exist anymore because they don't want people touching the serving spoon and the next guy touching the serving spoon. And so the whole purpose of that is to eliminate the extra touches, and it's better to have a rubber glove, take it out of a M&M bag and put the M&Ms in their bag. And so that was the suggestion by the CDC, I believe. So
Okay.
I'm not sure where that came from, but on the call yesterday, but the fact of the matter is that I think that was their objective, is to avoid multiple hands touching things through the process.
I don't think we need to micromanage Halloween for everyone
Absolutely
anyway.
not. Absolutely not.
They-
I think it's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I think, don't put a bowl out. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Don't lick the wrappers and so forth, but otherwise, abide by health guidelines as best as you can and have fun, certainly. Do we need to actually move to set the hours, or is that something the township has done?
I think we normally have, so I will move that we call for Halloween on October 31st, which is a Saturday, and that we run those hours between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
Second.
Let
Vote.
me just say it before we.
And
Yeah,
that I think is established by the county too. I think the county said that too, 6 to 8.
No, because each community has a different, could potentially, when October 31st doesn't necessarily fall on a Saturday, I'm sure everyone this year.
Yeah, this year, yeah.
But sometimes they they might move it ahead a day, or they have their own options to do both
Everybody
day
can
and
have
time.
what they want to do.
I think we should also put on the website that, an explanation to all our residents exactly what we're doing here, so that they understand that, in the best interest of everybody, we're yielding to their better judgment, and maybe, I think it's a good suggestion to, if you don't want to participate, you can let people know by just not having your porch light on, and if you do want to participate, you can put the porch light on so people know, and otherwise you can walk past your house without knocking on your door.
I got one question. In the past, the police and the fire vehicles always went out and passed out candy. What's your stance on that? What do you want to do on that?
Are you comfortable doing that?
It's not too much of a problem for us. I mean, people are coming, we hand it to them, but there's a contact issue there. I don't know if that's something that you want to continue that, or if you want to just post it.
I'd like to continue it. I think all the residents really enjoy seeing the trucks and appreciate the candy.
That might
I
be
might
where they
suggest that
go
we just
for-
wear rubber gloves so that people feel comfortable with
Yeah,
it.
we can do that.
Yeah, and I agree as well.
That might be where the kids get most of their candy anymore.
That's true.
Fine.
And that's always a big deal for the kids.
You guys always give out the good stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So we need to vote on the motion.
You don't need
Do
to,
that. We don't need that.
you can if you want, but
Well, no, we had a motion
have a
to set
motion
the
and a
hours.
second.
Oh,
We
I'm
did not
sorry.
vote on that.
Okay. Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. LeBarbera? Aye.
I have nothing else.
Aye, Mr. Werwick. Fiscal Officer Rob Porter, you're up.
I have nothing.
Nothing? And we'll go
Wait,
to,
so we have no additional receipts or expenses since the last meeting, or we'll cover that Thursday?
We're going to do that Thursday.
Okay. I do have a question, simply because the elephant in the room here is a letter went out to virtually all the residents in the township from an individual with a bunch of other people signing it here, with a big bold headline on it that says Sycamore Township finances in jeopardy. And I just want to confirm with you as our fiscal officer, are our finances in jeopardy?
They are not, and I think we talked about that before. Back in an early meeting, Mr. Warwick said something about a $10 million hit to our reserves, and I objected to that immediately. And then that was backed off on. But no, they are not in jeopardy at all. And I don't know where all this is coming from, but that's,
The $10 million I was talking about was what was published in our budget at that time, and I made it clear that that was not something that was going to happen. And since then, we have redone, for the most part, the budget, and that performance there'll be no loss.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying our
Yeah.
finances are not in jeopardy. I'm hearing from some people who seem very concerned that they are, and that their taxes are going up, and you as our fiscal officer have confirmed they are not in jeopardy. So thank you.
you are confirming that, is that correct? that our taxes are not going up, we're not in financial
Well, I have nothing
trouble?
to do with the taxes, that's you guys.
But you're saying that we are not in financial trouble, is that
No,
correct?
I've always said that, we're very well off. And anyone who suggests otherwise is, just not looking at the facts.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, anything else? Mr. Porter? Announcement changes, there's one listed, record commission meeting, Tuesday, October 13th, immediately following the trustees workshop meeting, right here in the administration building, 8540 Kenwood Road. I'm going to make a motion now to adjourn to executive session with Law Director Deepak Desai to discuss employment of a public employee as permitted by Ohio Revised Code 12122.
Second?
If we could just amend that, also to discuss pending litigation.
Okay, discuss employment, okay. I'll make a pending litigation.
Okay, and I'll second that amendment.
Okay, so you want me to read I'll make a motion to adjourn into executive session with Law Director Deepak Desai to discuss employment of a public employee as permitted by Ohio Revised Code, Section 12122, and also pending litigation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote, Mr. James?
We need Chief to come along for this one, too.
Well, I'm gonna announce this.
Yes.
Mr. Warwick, Mr. LeBarber, and I'm inviting to this meeting our administrator, Mr. Warwick, 3 trustees, Tracy Kellums.
We didn't vote on this. I think he voted, I didn't vote. I'm going to vote aye as well.
Okay, and I'll vote aye also. And fiscal officer, Rob Porter, Chief Penny, and,
Chief Cooper.
Chief, okay. Assistant Chief Cooper, also invited. And the time is 10:09. And we are leaving the meeting at this point. See if he goes to,
There's no report out at all, right? I'm sorry, there's no report out on either copy.
No.
no. He's notified?
He gave me a thumbs up.
Good morning, we are back in regular session. The time is 11:45. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Stay safe, stay healthy.